Okay, so we're gonna start. Hi guys, I know most of you guys know me. My name is Icaro. I'm a peer counselor working with the counseling department. And today I'm gonna talk about HIV and mental health. I chose this topic today because I think it's really important to talk about more. December 1st is the International World AIDS Day. So it's a day of remembrance and to talk about HIV, to think about it. So, does everybody here know what HIV is, or do you guys need a little just history or just a little bit of what it is? You guys are good? Does anybody want to say what it is? No?
Is it like a virus that attacks your white blood cells, so you're very susceptible to a lot of infections, and a simple like common cold can really hit you. Like you can develop like bronchitis or pneumonia, and it could like really affect your health.
Exactly. And that can develop into AIDS, which is different than HIV. We have to keep that in mind. So HIV is just the lack of T cells, and AIDS is when you don't have enough, so you don't have an immune system. I was going to show you guys a video, but today I'm not really going to talk about the biology of it. I'm really not an expert. I don't want to give you any false information. So an overview of today, I'm going to talk about stigma, pre-testing, post-testing, life with HIV, coping with HIV, and social support. So I want to start first by defining what mental health is. So there is no single definition of mental health, but the World Health Organization defines mental health as a state of well-being in which individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. It's more than the absence of mental disorders, but it's the foundation for well-being and effective functioning for an individual and for a community. So mental health, even though a person may have some type of mental disorder, doesn't mean that they don't have mental health, because that can be treated. The person can go through counseling, through psychotropic medication. So does anybody know or want to like say like what are like some of the positive? I'm just gonna say it. Why is positive mental health important? It's important because it helps you function better at work, in school, and relationships. It helps you cope more effectively with life's difficulties, such as death of a loved one, ending a relationship, job stress, health issues, and family or financial problems. It helps you take care of yourself better physically. It provides better care for your children and other family members. So it just really keeps you, well, keeps life going. So if you're living with HIV, mental health problems can affect your physical health by making it harder for you to take your HIV medicine at time. I'm sorry if I'm saying you. I don't mean you. I mean the person who is affected by the virus or is living with HIV. And we know how important it is for them to keep taking the medicine, so the T cells don't drop to a lower point and develop into AIDS. It makes it harder to keep your health appointments and take advantage of your support network, and interferes with health behaviors such as getting enough sleep, exercise, and avoiding risky behaviors such as unprotected sex or substance use. Overall, it impairs the ability to cope with stresses in the daily life that we all have. So I want to talk a little bit about stigma and HIV, because I think stigma is really what keeps people from getting tested and what keeps people from knowing their status and living a normal life. So stigma is characterized by associations with physical imperfection and membership in a negatively regarded social group. More specifically, negative stigma refers to the acts of discrimination, such as social rejection, while perceived stigma refers to the extent that one is aware of negative societal attitudes. People living with HIV report higher levels of stigma associated with the HIV status, and such a stigma is related to greater internalizing symptoms. HIV-related stigma has been associated with refusal to undergo HIV testing, non-disclosure of HIV status to others, and delays seeking health care and poor mental health. So that stigma really will stop somebody from telling you, if you meet them out at night, if you're hanging out, it won't stop them from telling you that they're HIV positive, putting you potentially at risk because they're afraid that you're going to be discriminated or they're going to be treated really badly. So we're going to watch a little video right now.
One of the biggest problems I have with living with HIV are the misconceptions and myths that people have. Some people believe that if you're HIV positive, you can't be in a relationship, you shouldn't have boyfriends or girlfriends. They still believe that you definitely can't touch or kiss, even if I cut myself, but they're nowhere near me and they haven't got a cut. You might jump out at them. In school, people didn't understand about HIV. They didn't take it seriously and they saw it more as a joke. Hearing all these negative words and laughing in the classroom would make me feel really isolated. I could be in a room full of people but still feel so alone. If they knew I was HIV positive, how many people would still be my friend? If we spoke about HIV more, I do believe that maybe these myths and misconceptions would be, washed away a little bit, but because of the stigma, because of the way people think, it's not. I hope to be living in a world where there isn't this huge misunderstanding. I also hope that by listening to this, you're now more aware and maybe you can educate someone else.
So guys, this is the video that, it's this huge project that they have in the UK. It's called Life in My Shoes. And it's stories shared by youth who are dealing with HIV. And it's very powerful, so if you have a chance, definitely check it out. I know it's a little sad, but it's about empowering young people. Right now in the UK, there's a huge epidemic of HIV amongst the youth. Actually more like a year or two ago before PrEP. So it's something that's like getting more normalized. Any reactions to the video that anybody want to share?
It made me think a lot about how we view HIV anxiety. Like when she said that maybe if, she can hang out with her friends and things like that, but maybe how many people would actually be there with her if they knew that she was infected by them. So it's kind of like, it hurts.
It hurts, it can be pretty lonely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
It actually reminded me of a film that I saw a few years back. I don't remember the name, but I think it was a film from ABC Family. It was basically this young woman who probably around like in her 30s, and she was HIV positive. And she was on different medications. There were new medications coming out. She had recently switched, and she was having a lot of like different reactions to it. And her major concern was not so much her physical health, but it was how other people would react if they noticed that due to HIV medication, she was acting different. Or that because this new and she was also a teacher. So like in her school, it caused her to faint. And that's like probably towards the middle or end of the film that it actually comes out that she fainted because of one of like the effects of the new medication she was taking, and that was like her greatest fear. It wasn't even so much about her physical health. It was about like how it would affect, her job as a teacher, her social life. She was also starting a relationship with another person, and he totally like she hadn't told him about it yet, and they hadn't been intimate, but that caused him to kind of like step back and be like, I don't know if we could do this. So it kind of make you like think of that. Like it's not like the worry is about that they're going to be rejected by society, not about their health.
Right.
But their health should be the number one.
Right, there's like a lot of roadblocks, like
Yeah.
you've been saying, like the HIV medication, when somebody gets diagnosed, how is my life going to change, right? Do you want to say something?
There was like an
Thank you.
episode on this show called Girlfriends, where she had a friend that was HIV positive, and they were cooking one day, and they happened to cut themselves with a knife. And so they really showed how people basically stigmatize people with HIV, and she battled between throwing out the knife and getting a new one, even after the person told her that once it, hits there, the virus can't survive.
Right.
And then she could just watch it. So you see her battling for like a good 40 minutes deciding whether or not to throw.
Right. It can be like very hard for people to like get away from like stigma, right? Thanks for sharing. So next, some stats in the U.S. More than 1.2 million people in the United States are living with HIV infection. So a lot of people. So why is there a stigma around HIV? The fear surrounding the emerging HIV epidemic in the 1980s largely persists today. At the time, very little was known about HIV transmitted, which made people scared of those infected due to fear of contagion. So back in the 80s, it was known as gay cancer, and it was very stigmatized, and because of a lot of homophobic attitudes at the time, HIV became even more so stigmatized, not only with death, but with unacceptable behavior as they would see homosexuality back then. So, still affected to this day. People would say things like, oh, it's a gay person, they may have it. You know what I mean? Maybe not in New York as much, but if you get out of here, if you go to like, Midwest or if you go to South, the story's a little different. Yeah.
I forgot which one, because I'm really ignorant on this topic, to be honest, but I knew like 2 people who either had HIV or AIDS. I'm pretty sure it was AIDS though, because their mother had it. And so when she gave birth, they automatically received it as well.
Right.
I don't know, I'm pretty sure it's AIDS. But one of those is, if you have it and you have a child, they automatically get it too. So it wasn't even their fault per se, not that it's anyone's fault when they get a sexually transmitted disease, but my sister's good friend actually passed away from HIV because he got a tattoo and the place wasn't clean. And it's things that are like that simple.
It's like very easily that you got like,
Yeah.
not very easily, but it could happen that you got like from blood transfusion or like blood to blood open wounds. So it's not necessarily just transmitted by like sexual acts.
Yeah.
But yeah, if the person doesn't get tested and they don't know, HIV can develop into AIDS, and AIDS then will leave you more susceptible to autoimmune disease such as pneumonia, which will kill you.
Yeah.
So people don't really die from AIDS or HIV. What kills them are those diseases that come and take
with
advantage.
it, yeah.
Exactly.
And back when I first learned about HIV and AIDS, I also learned that I forgot which village in, I believe, I want to say Ghana. There was a huge rape epidemic, especially with younger women, because it was believed that if a man had HIV or AIDS, it would be cured if they raped a virgin. And so there was a huge rape epidemic back in the early 2000s because of that belief spreading around. And I'm pretty sure that it spread to other villages, and so
That's
there's this
very
huge issue of stigma and what it would be to admit that you had HIV or AIDS, and the lengths that people will go to get rid of that stigma. And I just found it upsetting, but at the same time interesting, because nobody's stigmatized for getting a flu, right? Like no one's stigmatized for getting the stomach virus. So what makes HIV and AIDS any less different than any of these other illnesses?
Right. We're going to talk a little bit about it. Like, I like that you mentioned those false beliefs, and there's a lot of that still out there today, even in the U.S. You mentioned some village in Africa or Uganda, but now there's a whole new trend. I'm not sure what country in Africa, but now raping young people, they are going after older women, because if they live that long, it means that they don't have the virus. So rapists are now targeting, it's just like an effect, like on the side, but they actually are now targeting older women because they think that they don't have the virus and they won't transmit it. I just read that. Not fully on the facts, but it's something. So those false beliefs, with many other reasons, means that people would think that HIV and AIDS are always associated with death, which is not true. HIV is associated with behaviors like some people disapprove, like homosexuality, drug use, sex work, and infidelity. So a lot of the times, if you come up to somebody and say, hey, I'm gonna go get tested, people will, a lot of the times because of the stigma, look at you thinking that you definitely did something wrong, or, you know, they never assume that, you know, maybe it was an accident, or who knows, just not judge. They think like you were, you know, doing crazy things. People think HIV is only transmitted through sex, which is taboo, which is a taboo subject in so many cultures. So sometimes it's like very hard for people to tell parents or somebody that they're getting tested, or that they even have HIV, because people will automatically think that it's sex. Like you mentioned, your friend who got a tattoo, and unfortunately for him, he contracted the virus that way. But if you just say, my friend got HIV, I'm sure a lot of people would just assume that your friend was just having unprotected sex.
What made it worse was he was gay. So that's probably why he got convicted.
Right. So that even adds more to that stigma that
Exactly.
gay man is actually the one who spread. Okay. So HIV infection is the result of personal responsibility and moral faults, such as infidelity, and that they deserve to be punished. So there's a lot of very strict religious, conservative people that would actually say that. That yeah, they deserve to be punished, they deserve to die. Yes?
I think like speaking more about the whole idea of the stigma behind it, I had gone to get a physical, and my doctor, she was a new doctor of mine, and she told me that I should get tested, but the manner in which she went about it, she made it seem like I'm pouring myself around, so you should probably get tested. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even like the way that your doctor told you to get tested, it felt like,
Yeah.
you know, you were doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
She was like leading up the whole conversation up to that question. So.
Right. And you felt like you're judging me, or like, what am I doing wrong? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very hard. I'm sorry you went through that. And there's also inaccurate information about how HIV is transmitted, creating irrational belief, irrational behavior, and misperceptions of person. So this is how stigma. Can you guys see well? This is how stigma leads to sickness. So we have minorities here, HIV, people living with HIV, sex workers, sexuality, drug use, gender. Then we have stigma that leads to harassment, abuse, discrimination, violence, poor health services and access, which leads to marginalization, social, economic, and legal, which can lead to poor social or emotional well-being, poverty, risky situations, and behavior. And, any questions?